easy. But good job it wasn't the Saturday.
Well, yes.
That's better.
Hey, Chris.
Right. I was blaming Zoom and I had my sound turned down.
I've had to. The county council, they use Microsoft Teams. Oh my God, it's useless. I don't know if you've ever used it, but they have to.
Okay.
It's just hopeless. The video doesn't work, and you can't see who you're talking to. And then when they share the screen, it works for a bit, and then it doesn't work anymore. It's hopeless. Why don't I just get a Zoom subscription? I don't know.
Well, there's a lot of places just not allowed to use them. I mean, I do a lot of Zooms with the hospitals and people like Macmillan, and they're just not allowed to use Zoom.
I wonder why that is. They got security concerns or something.
Yeah. I mean, it's no different to Teams, to be honest. You know, if you're worried about Zoom, you might as well worry about Teams as well.
Yeah, at least Zoom works. Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Hang on. Being the host is more work than you think. You have to keep clicking on stuff.
Well, you should just disable the waiting room and just let people come in.
Oh, can you do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
When you send out the invite, when you create the meeting, and on that page, you'll see there's an option there to say enable waiting room or not. But even then afterwards, once you've opened it, if you go into settings, the security, you can disable the waiting room, and then people just come straight in.
I'll do that.
Waiting room, was I?
You were, yeah.
Oh,
I can admit you, and when you're talking to somebody, you don't notice that there are people at the top of the screen.
not a problem. Don't worry.
Blimey, Andy, we seem to be looking at you from the ceiling, mate.
Yeah, I've got a new computer and it's got a bigger screen and the camera's right on top of the screen. So yeah, so you're kind of coming.
Looks like a CCTV camera.
It does look like a CCTV camera. I agree. Yeah. Yeah, I can look after you more. Yeah.
Gene, you're looking very pink. I can't hear you.
No. I mean, the laryngitis isn't improving, is it?
No. Oh, you're very blue now.
What's
No,
that?
back to pink again.
Goodness. It's an interesting competition last night.
Yeah. It's amazing, isn't it? I mean, all the judges, they've all got completely different views of things.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah. I keep putting that one in my head to see what happens. I get different comment. Everybody goes,
Every time they comment on the lighting side, and I'm thinking that was me. I'm standing there with that.
that's right, yeah.
Blinded myself, didn't it?
And he's picked up. I mean, to be fair, what he picked up, I think, was quite fair. But nobody else had said that, So, one of these days, we'll just put all these together, sort it, and hopefully.
That's the trick, isn't it? Selecting the right shot.
Yeah. No, I mean, I did do a lot of work on it. So, it's that one, Tony, the windmill one.
All right.
That you commented on the other day.
Yeah, I like that one, actually. I was quite interested in the sky in the background is crystal clear.
Yeah.
So it's quite neat how because you would think that in perhaps exposing for the windmill, you might overexpose the sky, but that didn't happen.
It was exposed from the sky, really.
It was it?
20 seconds.
Yeah. No, it's nice. I just think it's a really nice picture, that. I like it.
Yeah. I mean, there was a moon which lit up the windmill. It wasn't a full moon, though, was it?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
Oh, no, I'm talking to Chris and Dean were there.
All right.
No,
there was a moon, but it wasn't full, I don't think.
No, it wasn't full moon. No.
No, it was
That
quite.
would have made it trickier. That would have made it a lot trickier.
Now you realise I'm still on my old laptop here because I bought myself a new high performance laptop, and I have to say, photo processing wise, it's a revelation. I don't have to wait till the next morning anymore now. The problem is in cramming all that performance into the damn thing, it hasn't got an optical drive and it hasn't got a webcam. So I need,
Hasn't got a
The optical
webcam.
drives
Oh.
these days.
you know, I must be just so old fashioned. But this old Steam version is fine, really. You know, it's all right for what it does. I attach it to the camera outside when it's working because you really don't want to use a good laptop when it's getting dew on it and all that sort of stuff. So this poor old thing sits out there for hours on end. With me, I hasten to add.
Hello, Heather.
Hello.
Oh.
Hello again, Heather.
Hello. Did you enjoy your walk?
Do you know I did? Yeah, we had to feed our daughter's cats.
Oh,
Yeah, you know, the trouble is that with all these new freedoms coming in, demands are arriving as well.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
no excuse anymore.
No,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, obviously Linda and I, you know, we're in full PPE before we break in, but you know, only touch the gloves, only touch the cat with rubber gloves, that sort of thing.
I'm a bit worried about this, all this stuff in the news with this vaccine, because that's the vaccine that I had.
Oh, I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah,
No.
It's
Don't
not-
worry about it. It's minuscule.
yeah, you don't have to worry about it, Heather. We've got to the expendable age. We don't have to be bothered now.
He doesn't seem to affect us either. So
No.
Well, it's 7 in kind of 30 million, isn't it, or something like that?
yeah,
They're saying
yeah,
the chance of having a road accident is 1 in 100,000. So
yeah.
Yeah.
And he
Well,
said
it's
it's
rather
1 in
interesting that,
100,000, and that's every week, every 3 months. I think.
Yeah.
oh, that's right, every 3 months.
Would you get into a car?
I know.
Yeah,
I mean, if you compare that with your chances of getting COVID if you don't have the injection,
absolutely.
Yeah.
that's where I would go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't worry about it, Heather.
Panicking for nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's so many. The thing is that normally, of course, you have all these things and nobody actually tells you what the risks are, do they? I mean, it's a bit
No.
like, you know, I mean, if you actually read all the blurb on your paracetamol and things like this, and
You never
you know,
take anything.
because I'm now 70, I was given a shingles injection. And I suppose the nurse must have had a lot of time on her hands because she talked me through all the possible side effects of this, one of which is you get shingles. And I thought, well, that's a bit steep, isn't it? You get a bloody inoculation and there's a chance you go down with the actual thing itself. It was very cheery.
Well, you don't want that. I had it last year. It's horrible.
I know. Well, I mean, that's partly why I had the shingles jab. But, you know, none of these things come with a totally risk-free sort of set of properties, do they?
I was in a charity once when I worked with a guy his job was writing these bloody great sheets of things for go in the boxes. I mean, and he said it was absolutely crazy what they had to cover just in case, you know, complete madness.
Mm.
Now, I had an operation on my tear duct a couple of years ago, and they went through all the things that could happen. And she said, she got to the end of it, and she said, well, one of these things is death. She said they could actually drill into your brain. It's very unlikely, she said.
Yeah.
Ooh, slips, yeah.
Nice.
Lovely.
I would have thought that would have made your tear ducts work.
Oh, yes.
My husband had that deep brain surgery at the JR for Parkinson's, where it was on television. You're awake and they screw this helmet thing onto your head and then start drilling. He's now got 2 implants in here and then one here, and this one here he has to charge it every few days.
Yeah.
Then the cable goes up sort of under the skin behind his ear.
But I mean, the effect that these things have is almost miraculous, isn't it? mean, when you
Yeah.
get it right, you know, people, if they actually turn these things off, they can hardly control themselves, turn it back on and bingo,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
But it was, I don't know that I would like to have lay there wide awake while they screwed a helmet onto my skull. I'm a right wimp when it comes to anything medical.
Yeah, well, I was amazed when I had my cataracts done. Yeah, and of course they do that, you're fully awake. Yeah, and they're in there cutting away at your eye and things, you
Yeah.
know. And of course you don't see a thing.
No, you don't, do
You
you?
just see all these colours, you know.
Yeah.
You don't feel anything, you don't see anything. It's just colours, you know. It's quite nice actually.
Yeah.
As long as you don't think about what they're actually doing.
Yeah. How long does it take after the op before you see the benefits? Is it, I mean, do you see them
You
immediately?
don't see
Or
anything. Yeah.
really?
No, it's next day, you know. Next day I was seeing.
Well, it's amazing, isn't it, really?
It's incredible. It's incredible. Yeah.
All
Right,
hands
we
in
get started.
photography as well, isn't it, really?
I don't think we're going to get anybody else now because Linda's not coming on. So we'll get started, shall we?
Yeah.
Right. You saw the agenda. So I thought what I'd do today is, you know, rather than hit you with lots of technical stuff, just go through some options for, you know, sharing our images. You know, what are the options we've got? You know, how might you want to do it? And I mean, I'm not going to go into anything in any great detail because we'll be here all night. But what it might do is it might sort of prompt us to say, well, there's a particular area that's quite interesting, and maybe we can home in on that as another session sometime. So, you know, as we're going through, you know, if you think, I mean, obviously we can go into a little bit of detail if you want to, but I'm just conscious of the fact that if we went into detail of everything that I've got here, it would take a long, long time. And I'm not necessarily an expert in all the different things anyway. Okay, so let me share my screen then and we'll get started. By the way, I've found out there's a setting that you can set so that when you hit share screen, it goes straight to desktop. So that, so you know, I would keep telling people when they can't share the screen properly, you say, well, click on this and then click on desktop. But if you have a look in the settings, I can't remember exactly where it is, but if you look in the settings, you'll see that you can actually set it to automatically, when you hit share screen, it goes straight to desktop. So it saves a step. Right. You see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sharing your images. Right. Right, so this is top level. This is what I'm going to try and cover. Basically saying, you know, you can share your images by printing them out somehow, or you can what I've called digital sharing, which is sharing digital files, you know, and then websites, which I mean, it is a specific way of digital sharing, I guess, but I've put that as a separate thing anyway. So as I'm going through, as I say, just shout out if you want to discuss, because we can make this interactive. I think that'd be the sensible thing to do if there's anything you want. But what I will do is I've got a whole load of links associated with a lot of this stuff, and afterwards I'll send all those links out. So you know, we've got some more information. But I will show some of them as I go through anyway. Right, so printing your images. So what are your options if you want to actually have printed output? Well, you could pop along to Boots, you know, with your SD card, stick it in the machine and get your prints that way. clearly that's fine if you want a few holiday snaps, you know, or you've been at a party or something, and you just want a load of little snaps. I'm clearly not going to go into that in any great detail. I'm not going to say any more about that. If you want to do that, it's there as an option. You could obviously use a print company. You could send them off and get them done. Print company, we'll go in that in a bit. Oh, how did that happen? Got my numbers the wrong way around there. Obviously, using your own printer is obviously a major option. And then if you don't want to do that, you can use a print company. It did throw me a bit when I saw print company after print station with a big gap. So let's ignore that first one. I guess no one wants to talk about that really. So let's go on to your own printer. So what are the sort of things that you need to consider with a printer? Well, there's a choice of printer in the first place. Now remember, we're talking primarily here about images. So, you know, you want a printer which is going to give you decent quality, photo quality. You know. It needs to be able to handle the size of print that you're interested in. If you want A3, you want to print A3 photos, then obviously you'll need a printer that can handle that. No point in getting a smaller A4 sized one. Connections, you know, if you might decide that you want Wi-Fi, not just the USB connection, so that's another consideration. You might want card input. You know, a lot of printers these days, you can just stick your SD card in the front of the printer and print directly from that. Then there's the output options that it can give you. Some printers will just print straight single sheets and that's the end of it. Obviously, the better ones will give you other options where you can do things like, you know, booklets, calendars. Actually, I don't know what to put calendars in there. That's in the wrong place. Certainly booklets. Some of them will give you the option of creating booklets where, you know, on an A4 sheet, it prints basically 4 A5 pieces. So that would be a printer that does duplex printing as well, prints on both sides of the paper. I guess I should have probably put in there. Paper thickness. That's a key one actually, because I have a Canon 5550, and it's a really good photo printer. It does A4. It does really good photo print, but it really struggles if you put in 300 gram paper, because it's one of these where, you know, the sheet of paper goes round the roller and comes back out the front again. So it has to turn round inside the machine. And it really does struggle with 300 gram. I mean, I can get it to work, but sometimes, you know, I end up pushing the bloody thing in, you know, trying to get this print out. But some of the better ones will handle those, especially printers where you put the print in one side, it comes out the other, so it doesn't actually bend during the process, it just goes straight through. So, I mean, a lot of papers, we'll discuss papers in a minute, but, you know, a lot of the good quality papers are 300 gram. Yeah. So if you want to print those, make sure you get a printer that will handle it. Printer footprint, well, that's size of printer really. You know, if you've got room for one. Some of these A3 printers, you know, quite big. I mean, if you really wanted to go for it, you could always go for an even bigger one, but that's someone else again. And I don't suppose any of us are really into wanting to print A2. No?
Mm.
Okay. So, you know, that's the sort of thing that you want to think about. So let me just well, let me just show you some of the things that we could, some of the ways you could decide on which printer.
Ray, you know, most home printers have 4 inks, 4 colours.
Yeah.
You remember there was a guy he came to the Whitney Club once and he was on about them having, I think it was 6 ink tanks or something he called them. Does it make any difference, you think?
Yes.
I mean, it does. It does. You know, I mean, the more generally, I would say, the more ink tanks you have, you know, the better quality you're going to get. Generally, I think that's the
That guy
case.
was there. I bought some print. Remember, he was selling printer paper, and I bought some. And needless to say, it's still lying in the box because my printer won't take it. It's too thick.
Yeah. Yeah, so and that's exactly what I'm saying.
25 quid or something. So I thought, well, I'm not getting rid of it.
Oh, somebody will buy it off you.
Would they?
Right. Yeah, I mean, if we'd still had, you know, obviously had the meetings in the hall, if you brought them along, somebody would have bought them off you. Without a doubt. Right, sorry, so what am I trying to do here? Right. Yeah, I mean, the best printers, photo printers, as far as I'm concerned, is either Canon. So if you go to the Canon site, I mean, you'll get lots of options there for photo printers. Or the other one is Epson. Nope. Exactly. There we go. Okay, these are the 2 main ones. So I mean, I would, I mean, unless somebody wants to throw in a better one, I would suggest those are the 2 best ones.
Yeah, those are the 2 I've got. Right. What I've found is the more portable ones, the A4 size, mine are both Epson. You've seen them; they're the same printer.
Yeah.
And they're really reliable. I've had them for a few years now, and they scan and copy as well.
Yeah.
And the print quality is really good, and they seem quite bulletproof. Whereas other printers I've bought are quite fragile and unreliable and a bit temperamental. And there's a Canon, and it's amazing, but it's enormous.
Yeah.
But I did look at it because Philip asked me about, I don't know how long it was, a week, 10 days ago, about it. And I had a look on the internet to see what the best ones were. And I came to exactly the same conclusion as you have. I was very pleased with myself for having selected the right brands. Yeah.
Well, I've had Canon printers for a while. This is my 2nd or 3rd Canon printer, and I've been delighted with it. Yeah. Never had any trouble with it, you know. But this is there's a link here which I'll send you, which is just showing. It's just a little article that lists what they think are the best printers on the market at the moment. So there you go, Epson at the top there, Canon, Epson, Canon. This Pixma Pro 100, that's a really good, that'll do A3.
Yeah, that's the one I've got.
Yeah.
Generation 4, that's the one.
Yeah, there is a newer one come out, which is a Pro 200 or something, which is an updated version of this, which is supposed to be even better. But I mean, there you go. I mean, if you're in the market for a new printer, see, they've included HP as well, but they tend to be, it depends how really good a quality you want. I would say these are a step down. The HPs are a step down in my mind to the Canons and Epsons.
What's your view on ink then, Ray? Once you've bought your printer, obviously you can buy printers fairly cheap, can't you? they're kind of quite
Yeah.
quite reasonably priced. So do you then buy Canon ink, or do you buy the ink from the local ink supply
Well,
shop?
I always buy Canon ink, to be honest. I did try it once, not with this printer, with a previous printer. I tried doing the refill type stuff, and I didn't have a good experience with it. So I went back to just using Canon.
Yeah, there is a difference between the two. I mean, the Canon ink's quite a lot dearer, but it's also quite a lot better. And there's a
there's a massive difference in price, isn't there? Which obviously you have to justify.
It depends what you're going to do.
I agree with what you're saying.
It depends what you're going to do. If you're going to put it up on the wall, then you need to buy the good stuff. If you're just going to, print it out and show a few friends and things, or you only print the occasional shot, and mostly it's A4 plain paper, then you don't need the fantastic stuff, do you?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Because you can get a whole set for the Epsons that I've got. You can get a whole set of third-party inks for the price of one cartridge from Epson.
Yes.
And there's 6 cartridges in them, and the Canon's got, I think, 9 or 10. For about 3 or 4 shades of grey, and there's a clear coat that stops it being shiny, and all sorts of things in there. It does make a difference, but you pay for what you get.
Yeah. I mean, with the cheaper ones, I mean the printers themselves are ridiculously cheap, and they make all their money on the inks and stuff.
Of course.
But as you get the better ones, I mean, things like that one Dean's got, the Canon 100. I mean, that's what, £600, something like that.
Yeah, it's a lot.
£600, something. It's that sort of range. So you are spending a bit more for a decent printer. They're not all cheap.
It is fantastic. I mean, it's amazing. You put it on the screen, and it's ordinary. There's a black and white shot of a lion that Louise wanted printed out, and it looks. When I saw it, I thought, why do you want that printing? The actual print that came out was fantastic. It was amazing, and there's so much detail, so much more detail in the print. So I mean, but it's horses for courses. Is what you want to do with it, really.
Well, that's right. Yeah. Right. So let's go back to everywhere. If you can find it. God. Everything all over the place here. Right. You minimize your lot. Okay. So that's choosing the printer in the first place. Then there's the software. So you've got a printer. What you're going to use to print your whatever. And what do you need to consider with software? Well, there's ease of use. You don't want something that's super complicated. Cost. And to be perfectly honest, you don't really need to go and buy anything to print stuff. Most of your standard stuff that you've got will print, and will print your photos for you. But then this comes into it, formatting options, depending on what you want to do with the print. And this is where we're into, right, I mean, obviously they're going to print individual prints, but what size of print will they cope with? Paper types. Now we'll go into profiles later on. What I mean by profiles, we'll cover that later. But some of these some of the software that you get will just say it'll allow you to print on photo paper, and that's about it. Whereas others, can let you go into much deeper and select things like profiles and so on and so forth. So that comes into it as well. And then, you might want the ability to print multiple prints. So maybe several prints to a page, that sort of thing. And maybe one with design options where you can print calendars, you know, and do booklets. Okay, so let me look again at show you what I mean by that. I think I've got some of that. Oops. No, don't. No, that's papers. No, sorry, I thought I had a link for that, but I don't. So it's basically saying, you know, you might want to look at specific software. I mean, for instance, you could just use, you know, your photo application, you know, the application that you view your photos with, and just say print it. You know? But that doesn't give you very many options. Whereas if you use something like, say, Lightroom to print, then they've got a lot more options to how you might want to format it, like all these sort of things like different designs.
What was that software you just said, Ray?
Lightroom.
Oh, Lightroom, yeah, cool.
Yeah. Right, and this is where we're talking now about specific software. So the photo-specific stuff, things like Lightroom, Photoshop, GIMP, Affinity, these are all specifically there for printing. You know, obviously they're all photo applications, and they all have decent print options in them. But your generic stuff, like, you know, File Explorer, Finder, this sort of stuff, I mean, they will allow you to do it, but not with the same number of options available to you. And then you've got your sort of office type applications. So MS Word, PowerPoint, Publisher, they all give you some reasonable options for printing, although a lot of it is actually printing a single page, and you do your design on the page, obviously. But you might decide that's good enough for what you want. And things like PowerPoint, you know, they've got design templates for doing things like calendars. You know, you can do greeting cards, all that sort of stuff. And then you've got open source equivalents. Obviously, with MS Word, PowerPoint, Publisher, you pay for that. But you've got Open Office, which is a free version, basically. You do the same thing. Right, another consideration, if you're using your own printer, is the actual colour reproduction. And the first thing is monitor calibration. Now, I mean, this really depends on just how much you want to get into this and how accurate you really want to be, and so on and so forth. I mean, if you're a professional, you know, who wants to do this, I mean, this is just a no-brainer. You know, you have to do this sort of stuff. And monitor calibration it's just recognizing that what you see on the screen, you know, and what you print out, what you took on your camera can all be quite different. Can all look quite different. So the idea of calibration is to try and, you know, get some sort of accurate output. You know, and if you're adjusting a photo in Lightroom or something on your monitor, you want to be able, when you print that out, you want that to look exactly as you adjusted it. Now, to do this, monitor calibration, here, let me just show you something. Again, I can send you all this stuff. There's this shows you a sort of manual way to do it without using any special software or anything. You know, it takes you through a few steps that you can try to adjust your monitor and to try and get it right. So that's one way you can do it. The other way is to use, you know, sort of specialist tools. There's this thing's by far the most popular one. It's called a data color spider. And what it is, let's see a photograph of it here. There you go. Right. And it's a little device that just sticks to the front of your monitor. You know, you plug it in, and there's some software comes with it, and you run through that, and that will get the colors on your monitor accurate. Problem is, they're not cheap, and you really need to be. I mean, if you're doing a lot of printing, especially if you were selling your prints or whatever, you know, you do need to do this every so often. You don't just do it once and then that's it. You have to keep doing it every so often. So it's worth buying if you do a lot of it. If you only do the occasional one, I suggest you're probably not going to spend money on one of these things. And this is another option that you've got. It's called Quick Gamma. Okay, as it says there, small utility program to calibrate a monitor on the fly without having to buy expensive hardware tools. So as I say, I'll send you all these links and you can have a look at it yourself and decide whether you want to play around with it or not. Okay, does that all make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Does anybody do this sort of stuff?
Yeah.
No?
No.
Dean, you not done it?
No. My laptop's not that old, and the screen's supposed to be calibrated when it can.
Yeah.
I know Brian's got. Doesn't the Whitney Group own?
Yeah. You can borrow theirs.
Brian came to my house and done it once for me, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah. Now, as I say, if you do it, you know, it does go off after a while, and you have to keep doing it.
Yeah, I've never really found it that big of a problem.
Well, I haven't. I mean, what to do is, you know, you do something on the screen, you print it out, you hold it up against the screen, says that look the same, you know. And if you're happy with it, you're happy with it. Yeah. But of course, the thing is, you see, is that the way the lights. I mean, your screen, you know, uses sort of incident light, whereas the printers uses reflected light. So, you know, you can't get a difference. Right. The other thing is printer calibration. This is pretty simple, standard stuff that you might want to do with any printer. You know, they all come with a little few maintenance routines where you can do things like clean the heads and align the heads, you know, by just running through, put it through a test print, and then it tells you to do this, that, and the next thing. And that just gets the calibration of your printer right. That's just something you would do every so often, you know, on your printer. I find you don't have to do it very often once it's set up. I think these days, you know, they don't tend to go off. Although if you do
does it use a lot of ink, Ray, to do that?
It does use a bit of ink, yeah. Especially cleaning the heads. Yeah, it does. But you know, you don't want them to get clogged up. It's funny. You either use a thing quite a lot, you know, or if you don't use it very much, then that's when they will get clogged up. So yeah, you can't win really. You know, you either use it a lot and spend a lot on ink, or you don't use it very much and you spend a lot on ink cleaning it. Right, printer profiling is the other thing. Do we know what printer profiling is?
Nope.
Oh, sorry, let's. I'm jumping ahead here. Let's. Why calibrate? Well, I'm forgetting the slides I put up here. This is just, we've gone through this manual software assisted, done all that. Printer, head alignment, head cleaning, done that. Printer profile. Right, what is this about? Right, what is it? It's a mechanism for ensuring that you get the best reproduction of your images given a combination of paper type and printer. Why might you want to use it? Because different printers can give different results. When you print something from your printer, unless you change it, it will just use a default profile that it's got set up there. And that profile, it's a bit of software basically in there that decides on the color management of the output. And if you just use the generic one, you might not get very good results. So what we've got is there's these things called profiles. Yeah, this is what I've just said. And what they do is it's a little bit of software that you can get that you add to your computer, and your printing program can use that profile to give you a better result. And the profile is specifically matched. It matches the printer that you're using with the particular paper that you're printing on. So let me see if I can show you a bit of an example here. So, that's right. Now, I use PhotoSpeed papers, okay? And I've got a couple of profiles that I got from PhotoSpeed to match the papers that I use. So to get these profiles, what you do is, this is on the PhotoSpeed website. Now, what they'll do is you get these profiles for free if they're for PhotoSpeed papers. They will do profiles for other papers, but they'll charge you for them. But if it's their paper, they'll do it for free. So the scenario is that you maybe decide to, get a test pack of papers. You can get from PhotoSpeed and other suppliers. You can get packs of paper that give you samples, and you maybe get 3 of each of different types of paper. So you find a paper that you really like and you want to use. So the idea is that you then order a profile for that particular paper, and you can order a number at a time. But what it then does is it takes you through a process where, but in fact, let me show you. Okay. See that?
Yeah.
Yep.
What this does is, you download a little pack that they provide. And what's in that pack is there's a file, it's a TIFF file that you have to print, and it gives you all the instructions for printing out this this chart. And what you do is you print it on the printer that you want to use, obviously, and the particular paper that you want to use, you print that chart out onto that sheet of A4 paper. And then what you do is you send it off to them, and what they'll do is they will send you back they will send you back a profile. And what you get is, you see these files here that start 1FS. You see there's one there for platinum burrito 300 gram, and there's one for smooth cotton 300 gram. And you see it says MG 5550 Canon, and it's got my name against it as well. So what that's saying is, okay, and they just email this back to you. They do it very quickly. And it says, there you go. That's the profile that you would use if you were printing on that paper. And this is the profile you'd use if you're printing on that. And you can have as many of these as you want. So you can order them for each particular paper. So let's have a look at showing you how you can use those. So this is now, we're in Photoshop. Okay. There's instructions, by the way, for how to install it as well. You get all those instructions with it. It tells you exactly how to install and where to put those particular files. So once you've done all that, just assume we want to print this photo. Okay, so print. Okay, so what it says here is, there we go, there's the printer. And down here, where it says color handling, printer manages colors. We don't want that. What you want is Photoshop manages colors. Okay. And when you click that, it says, well, what profile do you want to use? So you click that. Lo and behold, you see there's two options there, as well as a few other things. These are all kind of generic Canon ones. I've never tried any of them. I've no idea what they do. But this here, for instance, you say, okay, I'm going to use burrito paper for this particular print, so I'm going to use that profile. And that's it, basically. That's all you need to do. And then you just go through the rest of the print dialogue. And then when you print that onto that paper with that printer, you should get quite an accurate reproduction. Well worth doing because it's free and it's easy to do. And the turnaround's pretty quick. You do have to post it off, obviously, because you're printing a printout. And you get a little form that you fill in and say, I want this. This is what I want. And you can do a number at a time.
Is there any minimum amount of paper you have to buy for them to do that?
No.
Okay.
No, you could just, I mean, when I did it, all I had was a test pack, yeah, and but I mean they don't know what you've bought. All they know is that you've sent them one of their papers, with that chart on it.
Okay.
They have no idea how much paper you've got, and why would they worry? Yeah, I mean it's obviously quite an automated system that they've got, and they churn them out probably quite easily.
Well, and it kind of links you into that paper, of course.
Oh, definitely, yeah. So that's worth considering. Yeah. If what I would do is, if you find that your output is not matching what you really want, you think it's not coping with this very well, that's the time to try and think. You might find that it works okay and you're quite happy with the results. But if not, this is the way to go. Right, this is just what I've just been saying. Showing you photo speed. Yeah, lots of Photoshop, Lightroom, and some others. I mean, some of the standard sort of photo stuff you don't get the option of changing the profile. But it is really for serious, if you're looking for serious quality, and the average print stuff, nobody's going to bother. Right, where are we then? Photoshop, showing you that. Using a print company. obviously, why would you do that? I mean, you're going to get good quality results. Any size of print, various formats, single prints, posters, calendars, books, etc. And they all give you options for mounting them, framing them, etc. You know, different book types. Saves an awful lot of faff and wasted paper. Nothing worse than, you know, going through printing out, you know, on your nice paper that you've just bought, and they're not cheap, some of these papers, and you find that the result is awful. So you have to tear it up, throw it away. So obviously at a cost, you know, and if you're not doing very many, if you just want the occasional one doing, and it's not working too well with your printer, then this is the way to go. And especially if you want a big one, of course. You know, you might decide that it's not very often that you're going to print bigger than A4. So an A4 printer is perfectly okay for you. And if you want an A3 one, you'll send it away, send it off to get printed. So let me just go back and before we go on to books. Let me just. Right, just an example of a couple of companies that do this. This is one that I've used. So I don't do a lot of this, but I have used this Loxley, and I find them quite good, actually. There's all the different stuff that they do: prints, albums, books, wall products, you know, lots of stuff. And I mean, the prices are reasonable. Another one is Whitewall. Now this is one that's used quite a lot by professionals. I've never used them, but from what I've heard and read, they are very, very good. You can get things like, you know, printing under acrylic glass, all that sort of stuff.
I had something done a while ago by Whitewall. That was on acrylic, and very, very pleased with it. Yeah, really effective.
Yeah, it gets a really good name. Yeah,
but not cheap.
No, exactly. Yeah, no, get what you pay for, I guess. So, a couple of things to think about there. Right, photo books. That's a good way of printing. I mean, the modern equivalent of photo albums, really. Yeah, in the old days, you used to, you'd buy an album, you know, with the, a way back, you used to get these little corners that you used to stick on and then put the photo in the corners.
Well.
Yeah, and then of course they come up with these covers, you know, cellophane cover type things, acetate, whatever they are, and you put them in there. It made it a lot easier. Well, now, I mean, this is the modern equivalent. And if you, I mean, some of these are actually quite inexpensive. You know, for a small book, you know, something like 20 pages, you'd maybe talking 15 quid, something like that. If you think back, you know, by the time in the older days, when you bought an album, you'd bought how many films would you have put in there? You know, how many films did you put through the camera? What did they cost you? What did they cost you to develop them? By the time when you finished the album, you'd probably spent quite a bit of money. So you know, this is quite a good option. It's nice, and you can design them yourself. Yeah, they do tend to give you the pro. You can either do them online, or some of them will give you programs that you can download, and you can go through and you know, print supplier software, or you could use something like Lightroom to do it. So let's just look at some examples. I'll show you bonus print is one that I've just picked at random, really, as an example of a company that does this stuff. I mean, Bonus Print don't just do books; they'll do any kind of prints for you. They're one of the most popular ones in the country. Maybe not necessarily for professionals, but certainly for the general public. So let's have a look at that. What did I do with print? So there you go. They do photo books, wall art, photo prints, personalised cards, all that sort of stuff. So if you do books, create now, you see there that you can download, and this is free. You get this free. Download a bit of software, and with that, you can design the books. It covers all the options for designing books. So it might be, one to a page, might be several to a page, so on and so forth. Landscape, portrait, a lot. So that's one option. And the other way is to use something like Lightroom. Now I've never used this. Well, to be honest, I've never had a book printed. I'm going to do it. I keep meaning to do all my old holiday stuff, and do books for different places that I've gone to. But you can see in Lightroom there is a module called Book. All you do is you just select, select the number of that's done that. Yeah, no, I'm not going to go through to this now, but basically, it's similar, I guess, to the software that you get from the likes of Bonus Print, although obviously does it in its own way. But it gives you all sorts of different designs for, size, you've got different sizes, small squares, standard portrait, standard landscape, all this sort of stuff. And then what it does is it gives you an output that you can send to this company called Blurb. Now, they are an American company, but they've got a UK presence. I'm not sure where they actually do the printing. I have a funny feeling the printing gets done in the States. But what happens is once you've done all this and you output to this, you send it off to Blurb and they send you back your book. So again, I mean, if this was something we're interested in, we could do a whole session on this, I guess, at some point. But I won't do that right now. Right, so let's move on to any questions on printing. Is there anything anybody wants to discuss about printing, or we're happy with that?
No, that's good.
Okay, so let's just go on to digital sharing then. Now, I mean, the first obvious thing is social media, and I'm not going to spend any time on this at all. You all know the various ways that you can do that. You can use these, and there's lots of them that you might want to use just for sharing around your photos online.
So Lightroom has recently stopped you going on, stopped you putting stuff down to Facebook, isn't it, I think? So
Lightroom has, yes. Yeah. Lightroom used to be able to publish directly with Facebook. But you can't do that anymore. I mean, that was Facebook, I think.
Yeah, yes, it was. Yeah.
But you could do, I mean, something like Flickr. You could publish direct to Flickr, which is a different thing. But this is specifically talking here about social media. these type of apps that people are using just to send photographs back and forth all over the place. But the other way, of course, of sharing is just simple file sharing, just sending somebody a file. Obviously, there's email. Although with photos, if you want to send quite a few, then you can start to hit problems depending on which ISP you use for your email. So that email's fine for the odd one or two photo files, but if you start to get anything quite big, you want something like this, like WeTransfer. Now, I think, have we all used WeTransfer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we know what it is. It's basically just it's an online. You go into your browser, go to the WeTransfer site, tell it what you want to send, and then it sends it off, and you get something like 20 meg or something like that. Can't remember what size you get. No, it's bigger than that. 20.
2 gig it is for you.
Is it 2 gig? Is it? Yeah, something like that. And of course, you could pay if you want more than that. Online services, things like Dropbox, OneDrive, Google Drive. They're obviously, as well as being just general file sharing, they're quite good for photos. You put your photos there and you can send people links to the appropriate folder. And you can do it to a folder, to a single file, whatever. But and these all have free options. You get so many available for free. But if you want a lot of space, then you have to pay. Right, other kind of digital sharing. Well, you could do slideshow. Yeah, that's a way of showing as we do. And then I've got what I've said, a dynamic instead. So I could now let's do it. Right, so we want a dynamic slideshow. Let's go to let's see the obvious one. Now, I have got this set up to use when I click on this, when I show photos, I use a fast stone. So it's not the native photos that I use fast stone. But so if I click on that, right? So this is the first picture, and then I could just do slideshow. Now this is quite good because it's got lots of options there. For use transition effects, all this sort of thing, play, and so on and so forth.
He looks completely different there.
Yeah, these came out quite well, actually. I was quite pleased with it. That one's a wee bit bright. Anyway, won't go through all of those. Okay, or of course you could, if I say open with, where are we? I mean, photos is the normal default. But again, here, you can do a slideshow. Okay, so that's what I've called dynamic, in that you just do it there and then. Sure, there. But you might want to save it. Okay, and saved slideshow. Oops. You might want to use certain software to save a slideshow. And the obvious way of doing it, I guess, is something like PowerPoint, where you just create PowerPoint and put picture on each, the slide for each picture. So that's a nice simple way of doing it. You can use Lightroom. Okay. What you can do is you can say it says create saved slideshow, and again you could use this in a dynamic way, in that you could just run this. No, wait a minute, how many are there? No. And so let's one. That'll do. Right. So you see, you can, and what you can do is you could create that as a slideshow. Okay, let's go test. What it's done is that was a collection called Ducklington, and underneath that it's created a sub collection called Test, and that is a slideshow. So that's a way you can use Lightroom, to organize slideshows as well as just your photos. You can organize them into slideshows and keep it as a collection. That's quite a useful way to do it. Okay, audiovisual is another way that you can share your photos. And I know we've got an expert amongst us here, haven't we, Jane? She can't answer. Jane's done quite a few for the club, for the Whitney Club. And I don't know what software do you use, Jane, when you're doing them? Use the chat. Do you know, Dean?
I don't. I think it's, we had it in a club night once. It was about 35 quid, I think it cost. And it did most things. I've got a feeling that's what Gene uses. Oh, hang on. Such a long time ago.
It wasn't pictures to exit, was it?
No. If you can stop sharing a minute, I might have it on my desktop. Let's have a look. I'll just, hello. You can't minimize Zoom when you're recording the meeting. That's helpful.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I don't know. There's something else about Canon printers I'll show you afterwards. I'm not sure I've still got it, but there was a. You don't have to pay a lot. You can get some quite good software for not very much. It's something like NHC or NCH or something like that.
Yeah, but I've actually found one which I was just about to show you, actually, called OpenShot, which is a good audio-visual thing. Let me share again, and I'll show you it. Right, where did I put it? Right, this is completely free, and it's very similar to Pictures to Exe. And what it does is, you know, you put all the files, all of your resources in there, and then you create stuff in the timeline here. So you could just put all your photos there, and you could just do it like that and just make a simple slideshow. But the other thing, of course, is you can add music, sound, commentary, whatever you like. You can have different tracks. You can have a track of music, different track of commentary. You know, all sorts of transitions between them. So, you know, if you're interested in audio visual, but you're not interested enough, you know, to pay the 100 quid or whatever it is for a thing called Pictures to Exe, which is probably one of the better ones for doing this, then you could give this a try. And you record it. It ends up as a movie type file, but you play it and effectively get a slideshow. So that's worth thinking about. PowerPoint, you know, obviously talked about. You could do, you know, you could add one rather than just a slideshow. You can add soundtracks to PowerPoint and make a proper audio visual. Now this last one, Pictures to Exe, it's a sort of super version of OpenShot. A lot more options than OpenShot, although OpenShot will probably give you all the options you really need. But if you really want to go into it in any good detail, you might want to go to something like Pictures to Exe. But I think it's about £100 more, something like that. Okay, moving on to photo-specific websites. Another way you could share your photos. There's lots of offerings here. There's free ones and there's paid ones. Some examples: Flickr, we all know, we all used. SmugMug. SmugMug is now owned by Flickr. It used to be its own thing. It was quite popular amongst professionals for photo portfolios. There's another one called 500px. There's one called PhotoCrowd. All of these, basically. I mean, I've got links to them all, and I'll send you these. But if you're interested, and I think a lot of them you can use for free. I don't think you can use SmugMug for free, but you can certainly PhotoCrowd you can. 500px, I think you can. Flickr, yeah, it's still got a free option, isn't it? Flickr's still got a free option.
Yeah, I think it has. I'm 500 as well.
It's 1,000 photos ago, isn't it? Something like that.
Yeah.
So you could use one of those if you just want somewhere to showcase your photos. Or, of course, you could have your own website.
Mm-hmm.
You can build it yourself. There's various tools available. Wix, WordPress, Squarespace. Those are examples of ones that you can use. I use WordPress a lot. Not specifically for photo websites, but just for websites generally. So I know this quite well, and that's probably what I would use. But you could go and you can use Wix and Squarespace, and they have tools for building websites, and they're quite simple, easy to follow instructions. For doing basic websites with different designs and so on and so forth. So it's worth playing around with if you've got the time and the inclination. Usually they do need a little bit of technical know-how, but not a lot, to be honest. WordPress definitely does, but something like Wix, you could go on and create a fairly simple design, which might do you perfectly okay, without getting into too much technical stuff. Or you could have one built for you. It's costly. Right? You need to, if you're if you're into this professionally and you're making money out of it and you need a good website, then that's the way to go. And there's ongoing support. That's the other thing is, you know, you might know somebody who knows how to build websites and has the time, I hasten to add. But you need to make sure if you get somebody to build a site for you that they're available for ongoing support. Because as soon as you want to change it or something, you know, if it's your mate along the road who's built it for you, you need to make sure that it needs to be changed, that somebody can change it. So basically, that's it. God, do you think I've missed anything in terms of file sharing? Sorry, photo sharing.
No, I mean there are the stock sites that you can load stuff to, but I mean that's not really.
Yeah, I mean,
sharing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I can't put everything in there, but I'll put the more obvious ones.
Yeah, there is something about Canon because Canon.
I mean, stop this anyway. Yeah.
Okay, Canon make their own paper. Let me just see if I can put it up. This might not work, so just bear with me a minute. So Canon make their own paper. Here's the software that you can download. I think it's that's in just the wrong place now. Right, probably that. Yeah. Okay. So in the print photos option are all the Canon papers. So so you've effectively got the profile in there ready. Doesn't like it. Come on. Okay. You have to take my word for it then. It's probably because it's not.
Click on the middle of the down the bottom right in the middle. Click the middle.
Oh, I can't. It's.
Yeah.
I think what it is, it's not connected to a printer, which is probably why it doesn't like it. Doesn't like it. Oh, hang on. Here we go. What's this? Right. So you can see. Let's say I don't know. Let's select any old image. God. So let's find something that's easy. I think that's probably. Let's say we choose this, and then if we're going to print it, it won't let me. Oh, have I got to go? I can't remember what. I think because we're not connected to a printer, it doesn't like it. But you basically what you do is you select your image, and then you select. There we go. Here we go. So you have too many clicks. Then these are all the Canon papers in here, and all the sizes. So you can choose what size, and then you choose what paper. And then, because it's Pro Luster, I've got this one. I've got one of the others as well. I think it's one of these platinums here. And it's really good paper. It's quite expensive, of course. But the profiles are already in there, and the software matches your printer to the profile of the paper and then does the job for you rather than. So if you've got the same paper as your printer, it may be that the software is available to do this in a kind of quicker way.
Yeah, probably should have mentioned that. You know, the Canon and Epson papers are good papers. You know, and there are lots of different variations, as you see there, and it might be good enough for what you want. Yeah. I mean, you can obviously just go and buy ordinary photo paper, you know, but if you just want that slightly better quality, these specialised papers are definitely worth looking at.
Yeah, there are some really, really spectacular papers out there.
Yeah, things like metallic finishes and luster type finishes are get really good.
I've got a titanium luster one.
Yeah.
I can't remember where that came from. It's one of the paper manufacturers, and it's amazing, black and white. It's just goodness, so good. So it's worth kind of, if you're going to do something special, shop around a bit. But
well, I've got one on a metallic, which is got to do with it.
You remember what that paper was?
You see that? No, maybe not.
Up a
No,
bit.
you're not going to see it's reflective. But that's a metallic paper, black and white, and it's really, really good.
Yeah, it makes a big difference, especially black and white.
Yeah.
Cool. So if anyone wants A3 printing out, I've got an A3 printer. You just have to send me the file. I'll charge you. I'll charge you costs. So an A3 print will be, I don't know.
So what papers have you got for A3?
I have got that Canon titanium luster, and there's another one. So like a pro gloss paper.
Right.
The thing is that these papers, they're like £2 or £3 a sheet for just the paper. So when you get up to A3 size, so they're not cheap to buy 20 sheets of this paper. It's 50 quid. Although with Canon, if you're careful, if you're careful when you buy it, you can get offers, and you can I think I bought mine for about half that, but the actual retail was quite expensive. But the difference a good paper makes to the end result is you wouldn't believe it. You'd think it was something completely different. It was a different shot altogether. The paper really does have a big effect on the result when you're printing. It's really worth photos. It's really worth investing in a decent paper.
Yeah,
I think anyway.
And of course, you just need to be confident that you can do this all at home, because if you get it wrong, it's an expensive mistake.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I do with the expensive papers. I have a cheap one, and I print it on the cheap one first.
Yeah.
Before I risk the good stuff. And that way, especially with black and white, because black and white comes out really differently sometimes to what it looks like on the screen.
Yeah.
You have a really different exposure when it's printed. I don't know if anyone else has found that, but I'll print black and white. It'll come out much darker than it looks on the screen. What happened? You've got to raise the exposure of it to print it. But yeah, that's one of those things, I suppose. I'm probably doing something wrong somewhere. I would imagine.
Okay, shall we move on? Move on to share photos. Anybody got any photos they want to share?
I've got a few.
I'm going to see it.
Well then, who was that, Tony?
Yeah.
Tony.
Okay. Can you see that? Can you see?
Yep.
Is that okay? Roger Dodge. We'll zip through these. I don't know whether you know what that is.
Hang on, you haven't shared your desktop, have you?
No, right. Okay.
Stop sharing again and then have another go.
There we go. Any better?
That's better.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You can see that, can you?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's known as a daffodil. It's all right. It's going to be a pain, this, because I can't blooming move it on.
Well, just use your keys. Use your arrow keys.
No, ain't doing anything.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know what's happened here.
You have to close it and go to the next one.
All right, I'll stop it again. I don't know what the hell's going on here. It's Right. Can you see anything now?
Yeah, we can see the pictures in a row.
Right. Let's see if I can. Right. No, it's just the same. It's just not going to let me do it. It's all right. I'll give up then. I'll tell you. I'll show you. I'll show you. No, it's no good. I don't know why that isn't working. Somebody else had better have a go.
Bit odd actually, because were you definitely clicking on desktop?
Well, I'll,
Press share screen,
yeah.
and then there should be a window which says desktop.
Right.
Click on that.
Well, strange enough, I haven't got one that says desktop. I've got one that says screen.
Screen, that'll do. Click on screen.
Yeah, and
then click on share.
There it is.
That's
I think
fine.
you can see it, but I can't do anything with it. Hang on.
Close that shot and go to the next one, because sometimes they don't link in a slideshow like that. So if you close that one, Tony, no, don't delete it.
Oh, cancel that.
Yeah.
Just do an escape or something.
Yeah, I'll have to.
Yeah. Close it, the actual shot itself, up in the top right.
What, up here?
Yep.
All right, I'll just have to move along.
There you go. That's it.
Okay, I'll just move them on one at a time. Sorry about this.
Yes.
That will get there. What a hell of a ball.
Does that give you the option to move forward? Whoa, okay.
It isn't doing it at the moment. Let me see. No, I'm getting no options to move it forward. That's the Leo trio. Galaxies in Leo.
The three lions.
Pardon?
The three lions.
Yeah, well, it doesn't look anything like it, does it?
Only a tail.
With the satellite trailer. Just out of interest, I redid this. This is M81 Bode's Galaxy, which is up near the Plough. I'll leave that one out. This is known as Macarian's chain. I mean, it's not a particularly good picture because I did this really quickly. But basically, this is looking in the Virgo galaxy field. These are all galaxies.
Oh.
There are absolutely loads of them. They get smaller and smaller, but it's a vast galaxy field. It's visible at this time of year. And the moon was bright this year. So I took
excellent.
That's good.
And that's basically stacking 450 frames out of 1,000 frame video. And interestingly enough, that's what it looks like when you stack it. But you can, but by using it's all free software, you can carry out a Fourier analysis. And the next couple of nights later, I did the same thing again because it was a good picture. The moon obviously was, more of it was illuminated. And this is actually a two-frame mosaic I put together. Just really playing, to be honest. But yeah, that came out well. So
yeah.
But when the moon's bright, you can do very little else. And lastly, I see this blooming thing go over time and time again, and I can never get a decent picture of it.
No, they're very easy.
You know, but I think you need a bigger lens, and you also need to be a better photographer. Okay, I'll stop the share.
I had a similar problem to that a little bit earlier.
The funny thing is that when I had the file up earlier, I could click through all of those.
Yeah,
it just wouldn't do it for sharing.
I had a file with about 30 pictures in it, and I thought, well, I selected the ones I wanted and copied them into another file, and the file I'd copied them into wouldn't work in the same way as yours, and I haven't figured out why yet.
No.
If I moved them, which is what I did eventually because I couldn't figure it out, then it works.
Yeah, perhaps I'll have to do that before next time.
I'll tell you something.
I'll have to find out why it didn't work.
Have a look at Faststone. It's free.
Sorry?
Faststone.
Okay.
Have a look at it because it's free, and I think it's a much better way of viewing photos.
Yeah. Sorry, what's it called again?
Faststone, all one word.
Faststone. Yeah.
Just go have a look at, just put Faststone download or something in Google.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, and it's got lots of what. There's lots of things you can do with it.
I'll give that a try. Yeah.
I've got it as my default.
Yeah. Shall I do some?
But then, off you go.
Let's see me struggle with sharing a screen then. Screen. Share. Seems to be all right. Yeah, that seems to be working. Yeah, I just took a few recently. I got myself another camera because I wanted something small that I can carry around, and been interested in micro four thirds, and I bought a Panasonic GX9, you know, with a stock, you know, package lens, and it's excellent. Really pleased with it. And so I've just been experimenting with that a bit and doing some 50mm pictures for our next Whitney photo session. But anyway, this was Batsford.
We've not got many.
Sorry?
We haven't got many entries to the 50mm challenge. There's 3 of us so far.
So, right. Oh, well, perhaps I'll put them all in then. Yeah, I've got a few to put in. This is Batsford. If people know Batsford, it was on the walk on the way in. And I like trees, particularly winter trees and silhouettes. And I thought I need to do a bit more experimentation with that. But again, this is just a subject, a little carved house in a tree trunk, as you can see. This was the same thing from a different aspect, looking through this hollow trunk at this in here. Just playing around with the colours and the tones. And again, this was I was in this particular visit restricting myself to a 50mm lens. And I wanted more there, but I couldn't get far enough back. So
it's frustrating, isn't it?
Yes. There was something I read about you really improve your photography if you go out and only take one lens, leave all the others at home. And it does teach you something, actually.
Oh, yeah.
But Chris, you could have done a panorama.
I played around with panoramas a bit later, but I didn't know whether I was allowed to do that.
Well, for the Whitney challenge, well, strictly speaking, not, I guess.
Yeah, but I strictly adhered to the 50mm, or actually a 25mm in this case, but on the micro four thirds. No, I'm not going back now. No, we went to Blenheim this afternoon, and I'm still cold. We went, you know, you go with the family, on with the daughter's family and the grandchildren. She's got a 2-year-old who wants to walk everywhere, so you don't really. You keep stopping, and it's absolutely bloody freezing.
I thought Blenheim was closed.
No, it's fully up. Well, no, the house isn't open, but the grounds are open. You've got a book. You've got the restricted entry times. But yeah, you can go to Blenheim. Don't go again until it's a bit warmer though.
Yeah.
No, I was playing around with the waterfall. I wanted to try to get the water to look blue, but it distorts the colours of everything else. Just a little bit of I wouldn't have called this long exposure myself, because when some of these things you think are long exposure, you look at this and it's about half a second, you know. And I think these are about a 25th of a second, so they weren't really long exposure. just thinking back on those two in the Whitney photo group last night, that some of them tend to agree with him. Were they really long exposure?
Well,
But
that one of the waterfall was definitely not very long.
No.
No, but we didn't define it, did we? So, you know,
It's hard to define, you know.
it is, isn't it? Yeah, yeah.
Just for the record, my panorama blue, that was 5 shots at 15 seconds a shot.
Oh, right. I thought that was the best, Dean. I thought that was a winner.
I really liked it, yeah. I wasn't sure about it. But, you know, competitions, you're just at the whatever the judge likes and what they see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I liked all yours, Dean, when I was scrolling through them on Facebook. I liked all your photos.
The one of the Drilling Steps, the Cornwall, the cliffs at sunset.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So flat last night on Zoom. It just didn't. It looked like a different shot. Whereas if I pull up the actual shot itself, it's really rich and you can see the detail, and it's really nice. There's a lot of greens in the scene. It just looked like a different.
Yeah, he did get all the images in advance, so you know he wasn't just looking on the night.
No, he made his decision, hadn't he? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he knew what he was holding back, didn't he? He was a bit. He was strict.
Oh yeah.
You learn something, don't you? I think you learn something from every competition.
Yeah.
And you're up against in that club. There are so many gifted people that you're really going to struggle to.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah. It's tough. Yeah. That was the day I went. The magnolias were just beautiful.
Yeah, mine were until this morning.
I'm going to say they're brown now.
Yeah.
We went yesterday actually, and they're all gone virtually. Some of the other varieties are coming out, but this particular tree was just wrecked.
Is that Batsford, Chris?
It's Batsford, yeah.
Yeah, I think their magnolias are some of the nicest I've seen. They've got some really, really.
Yeah. Now I was trying to concentrate here on the guy we had a couple of weeks ago. I liked his symmetry.
Oh yeah.
I tried to get. It's difficult. I wanted to get those hedges exactly the same, and I didn't. I took several pictures. No, that was a tree. I'm just playing. I just switched the profile round 90 degrees. Well, effectively turned it negative, I think, haven't it?
Yeah.
More picture of the tree. And I thought these were amusing because wherever there's just a little bit more than a puddle, they put up a sign. And the most of danger with the puddles there are the children who can't read.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And this was Blenheim today. I just thought it was a rather nice waterfall. And I took 2 shots. I think I got another one at f22 and one at f wide open anyway, just to get the different. So that was the wide open. That was the longer exposure, which I thought was quite good. The only problem is this round here. People, you can't avoid them. And in this particular case, I would certainly find it really difficult to take them out. I could have taken this one out here because it's my daughter and granddaughter. I could have told them to get out of the way, but. Now, this was just a walk I took from Milton down to the Wild Gardens across the fields. And I couldn't get out any better. And, you know, when looking at it, standing there, the bench really stood out in the sunlight. But I thought this is a mess. And I took another one of it in colour, which I preferred, but not a bench to sit on, as you can see. And this, it was a muddy day, and I was walking in the edges of this is the elephant grass after it's been harvested, and the stubble is absolutely lethal. It's like bamboo sticks poking up. So you've got to be really careful how you tread on it. But it kept the mud off my shoes anyway. I just thought it was a little bit photogenic. And I think that's the last one. I was down at the Wild Gardens. I do go down there and I think, well, there's nothing new to photograph.
No.
But that was one just walking there and I thought.
That puddle's a nuisance, isn't it?
It is.
It never goes away. It's either a puddle or it's very muddy.
Yeah. You're going to jump over it. Well, that's the lot. Yep, have I unshared? Sorry.
Hi guys, I'm going to love you and leave you. I just have to bail out. So I thank you for your time tonight, and I will see you next time.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we'll have one more meeting, and then have a break for the summer. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Cheers then.
Yeah, cheers, Andrew.
Cheers. Bye. Who's next?
I think I've repeated what Chris did. I went to the Wild Gardens and Batford.
Go see him then.
Sharing that. At the top.
You minimize.
Yeah.
How do you do it? I'll minimize that, Phil. So it's over on the left and Mac.
And that, and get rid of that. Oh, and that.
There you go.
Yep. I will get used to this. By the time I get used to this, we'll be having normal meetings.
That'll be a joy in itself.
Oh, it will be, won't it?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Where is that? I couldn't find that, Phil.
Ah, that's classified.
I couldn't find it.
You got to go back and find it.
On the main avenue, when you get to the where they're cutting the logs,
Oh, yeah.
look to the right-hand side.
No, I'll have to go and have a look again.
Yeah. And then I was taking some of the buds. And he was very obliging.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
I did have that 20 to 200 lens on, so I wasn't that close. And then I was trying to get this, because they were in the sunlight, and I nearly deleted it. I thought, well, what if I can put it in black and white and just tone it a bit? And then Janet was saying she didn't like the foreground.
No, I would take the brightness, the highlights down a bit there.
Yeah.
A bit too bright.
Okay, it virtually was going into the sunlight.
Yeah, difficult.
Yeah. And yes, I like looking at trees.
Go back.
Don't ask me what this flower is.
The hellebore.
Oh, thank you.
That's hellebore, yeah.
Anyhow, to me, there's pretty weeds and not pretty weeds, and weeds you can eat. This was just before Easter. We went to Batford. I stood there for about a quarter of an hour because you kept getting people walking past.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
consider that, isn't it?
Yeah, I was going to tell them to sod off, but Janet said I shouldn't.
Yeah.
Just a different view of the house.
Yeah.
That's it.
Pretty good.
Cool. Anybody else? I've got some. Let's have a look. So up in we're in the spring section. This is the last quarter now for the work for Bruin Estate. This is long exposure. This has got a big stopper and so that's a 10 stop ND filter to bring the light down to 1,000 watt ambient is, and a 4 stopper as well on top of it. So it's 14 stops and it's 30 seconds. This is 35 mil. I would have loved to have taken this at 50, and I have got some shots of this at 50 mil, but it's tighter in. Like, there wasn't room to get the whole all three properly at 50 mil. So there's a building, I'm literally leaning up against it. But this is after a speaker at the group. We've had these conditions. Well, this day was the best one. This is a few weeks ago now, and then yesterday was fairly good, but only about half as good as this. What you want is movement of the clouds in the sky to give this kind of streaky, dramatic feel to it. Well, guess what? 50 mil challenges. This is 50 millimeter 1.4. What else we got? Oh, that's a pied wagtail.
Yeah.
That's down at Home Farm, just down the road from the Bruin farmyard we parked at. That time we went around that wildflower meadow. This is Tar Lakes, Great Crested Grebe. It's, I think it's the water I like. It's a lovely grey. You can see what sort of day it was. It was horrible, overcast, miserable kind of day. And it's quite windy, hence the choppiness. But it gives a really silvery, nice texture to the water, which I really like. There are a couple of these this grebe. He hasn't found his friend yet, so might be one to keep an eye on. You know, you might be lucky and see the dance they do.
Yeah.
There you go. I saw it once when I was in the Hyde a couple of years, or maybe 3-4 years ago now. And I'm photographing something else, and I hear this commotion down on the water's edge. And there they were doing their little dance, and I just caught the end of it. But they're such beautiful, lovely little birds. I really like them. And while I was there, the geese flew over, as they do. This one's quite sharp. That one's okay. Getting a bit iffy, and this one's definitely not. It kind of reduces as you get out of the shot, but at first glance, it's quite a nice shot.
Yeah.
And that is a wigeon. Just a duck. It's a species of duck.
Yeah, it's nice.
They're pretty good. Oh, I spotted my first buttercup. There you go. There it is. That was in Bruin Wood. As was that. And that magnolia is Philip's next door neighbour. Is he a next door neighbour? He must be. It's just on the corner there.
Oh, Rogers. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot his name for a minute. Yeah. Yeah, he's got this lovely magnolia in his, on the edge of his garden. Anyway. And while I was in Bruin Wood, I cut a few daffodils, which you can because it was private land. And then I used this, well, it doesn't look it really, but we've got this A3 light pad that Louise used for crafting. It gives you this really bright white light. But it's grey because I used a flash to light the inside, the front. I might have to see what I can do to maybe a longer exposure rather than using the flash. This would be bright white then, wouldn't it? I did later go in and fix it in Photoshop.
Oh, you could take two shots, couldn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose I could. I just put it together. Yeah, that's the other option. Do you know I have a fascination for sparrows at the minute? I think they're lovely little birds with all their brown, golden feathers. You don't see them. When I was a boy, there were flocks of hundreds of the things, and they wake you up in the morning. And you remember now, they just don't seem to be as common as they used to be.
It's all Dunnock's right now, right?
Yeah.
That's the farm office. Yeah, that was yesterday. That's the same two filters, actually.
All right.
We're at very little light entry. The only problem with it is with having those two on the front of the cameras, you can't see very well to compose the shot in live view.
Yeah.
You kind of get outlines of things. That's it. Struggles a bit. So sometimes this is the you know they're advertising this veg box that they're going to be doing. Well, that's what this is. This is where they're going to grow the veg, and they just put up this polytunnel here. As I said, that was yesterday. That's the other end. There's, I don't know what these are. That's the first things that
They're like bean sticks.
Yeah.
if they're a broad bean. And this is home farm again. And these old silos have been converted into office space.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what that is. And they haven't finished it yet. So this decking's not completed, and the front's a bit of a building site. And they've only not long landscaped the back here, so you couldn't get across it. There's not even a bridge across the water. There's kind of 2 planks of wood. But it's got a nice location. Somebody wanted an office. That's it from the other side. They're quite they're quite nice. When they're finished, it'll be well, you can see there's supposed to be around it. None of it's done yet.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
I think that might be, yeah, that's it. Okay. That's it. There you go.
Brilliant. Anybody else? I've not got anything to show. We're done?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll have one more outing, yeah? Sorry, not outing. One more meeting in May, then have a break until September, yeah? So who's up next?
I think it's me. Yeah, I think it's me. It's getting more and more difficult. I got 1 or 2 ideas, but I'll put those out to see if what people prefer.
Okay.
Yeah, you wait till you've been doing it a few years. That'll be difficult.
Yeah, but
I can't think of anything else to say.
the good thing is with people of my age, you could wait a year and it'd be all new again.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That's very true. Yeah.
What I saw the other day that people of our age, they can go out to the garden for their Easter egg hunt and hide the eggs, and then half an hour later they can go out and look for them. And then somebody else said, "Well, how can you remember that you're supposed to go out and look for them?" Yeah.
Oh dear.
Right. So what about an outing? Do you think we're somewhere near thinking about something? Maybe we could certainly go in 6s at the moment, can't we?
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think I've mentioned it to you and Dean that we go to Batsford a bit, and Seasoncote House and Gardens opposite to the Batsford. I did contact them because they're closed at the moment, and they said they were opening probably next week.
Yeah.
And the gardens look really good. And the house, it's not clear, but I think it is open, but it's only for guided tours. And it's also apparently a half-hour walk from the gardens. So, or the car park, they say. So it's probably the gardens that's more interesting. But we were interested, so that Nora and I are probably going to go up there as soon as it opens. So perhaps let you know, and we can organise something for that. Lots of other things. We could do a night shoot, couldn't we, Tony?
dead easy. I mean, I was only saying about your long exposures. I feel I ought to, since I took 33-minute exposures twice in one night. I mean, that's long exposures, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My goodness, yeah.
No, I mean that's a personal thing that I'd be interested in doing if other people are. But,
Yeah.
and then there's the hill climbs that will be coming up. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Andy? Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the first one at Prescott's at the end of April, but there's no spectators. But
No.
certainly as you get into June, there'll be spectators again.
Yeah.
Oh well, good time to think about those. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So what are you thinking? For April or something for May or what we?
Maybe we should leave it till May, just to make sure everything's.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then we'll have the restrictions should have relaxed. I think it'll be more than 6 outdoors then, won't it?
Yeah.
Fingers crossed, yeah.
So why don't we do that? So we'll have our next meeting at the beginning of May, and meanwhile we can have a think about doing something after that in May.
And what about Broome Woods? Because the bluebells are, they're coming up.
Yeah.
There are no flowers yet, but it'll flower end of April, early May. So if I keep an eye on them and then when they're at their best, I'll ask them about it. I'm sure it'll be fine.
It's good for me, yeah.
Okay.
Because that'd be quite nice to go and do.
Yes.
One evening, probably, at sometime around sunset.
Yeah.
Be a good time to go. Okay. I'll keep my eye out for it.
Okay.
Cool.
Right. We done that.
Yeah, I think we are.
We're all done.
Thank you very much.
Great stuff.
Bye, folks.
Right.
Okay. See you in a month.
That's right.
All right. Bye.
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 Bye.